Page 85, Go Down Moses. Let's look this puppy over. 4/4 time. It's in the key of A minor, they tell you that. The idea is, first off, it has no sharps or flats in the key signatures, so it's C major or A minor. And we're not covering the other modes. This is all we're covering, so it's got to be one of those two. And if you look at the last measure, and those notes, when you put them together, you have an A and an E and a C. That's an A minor chord. Between the two hands to A minor. Yeah, so most of the time a piece will end on its one chord, so you can tell there too. Most of the time. It has a pickup beat at the beginning, the right hand. A lot of quarter notes, but we have a little bit of dotted rhythm going on. But we're coming in on beat 4. 4/1. So you're in this position to start. Not this position, this position. And then after you play the A, notice in the next to the last measure, the first line, they want a 2 on the E. So you can lift up and move. You don't have to. I'll give you an alternative. Stay here and play the first E in that measure with thumb instead, because your thumb is already there. And then do the second E with second finger. You can do that too. It's another way of moving the hands around. So you want to be able to do this eventually without looking at the keyboard, and I find this type of fingering more secure when I'm not looking than what their suggestion, because you got to look to see where you're moving. But my thumb is already there, so I can just play the thumb and then use second finger on the same key. So that's what I recommend. You get the same thing in the second line, just go down one line, same pattern, and the same thing in the last line. I recommend the same fingering, a 1-2 for the E's. Then at the end, you're at the end of a phrase, so lift up and move up. It's okay to use thumb on both because it's the end of a phrase and the beginning of another one, so that's alright. Because you're going to go back up and do all that again. Second line's the same as the first, except at the end of the line you don't have a quarter note, you have a quarter rest. So now we're going to rest for one beat. Yay team. Well, on the third line, you want the thumb on the A, but you got a quarter rest to move up. So that's okay, just here. And then third measure over on the third line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. The rhythm here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. See, in the last measure the short note comes first. It's still a dotted rhythm, but the short note comes first. They can do that, you know. So it's just the last measure on the third line. 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's how that is. And once you get that, you're okay. Then the last line, the first measure is 3-1. I recommend in the next measure you do a 5-3 here, because that puts you in position to go on. Now you, in the third measure, you can do a 1-2. The fingering I'm suggesting to you is a little more advanced fingering than what they've been giving you, but I tend to do that. I like to push you a little bit. And these fingerings I'm showing you will certainly help you out as the music gets more difficult. So I encourage you to at least try them out. So you try it out, you decide on the fingering you like, you pencil in that fingering and you stick with it, whatever it is. In the left hand we get the chords. Now the melody's in the right hand, so the left hand has to be soft. You have 1 chord at the beginning, 4 chord. If you recognize these as the 1 and 4 chords, it's easy. You don't have to worry about reading all those notes. You just see the pattern of the chord and you recognize it. And then third measure, you come down, thumb. Second line is like the first. And then the third line, 1 chord again, 4 chord, 1 chord, 5/7 chord, and this one. That's really a lot what the left hand's doing, except for this. And you go to put it together, the two hands, because you'll learn this one hand at a time. Then just check to make sure play the right hand louder than the left if you can. If I play them both the same, it's this. And it's yucky. Play the right hand louder and keep the left hand soft. I mean, the melody at the beginning is supposed to be soft. So however soft that is, the left hand's got to be super soft. Then the last two measures, you have that crescendo. You're going to go up to, what, about a medium loud or a medium soft? You're not getting loud. You're just going up, getting a little louder. And you're going up to the A. Go on over to here. You want us to flow. It's here is what it is. Just don't get real loud. And now we're medium loud, which is louder than we were, but it's not really loud. It's just sort of loud. Isn't that nice? So the second line is medium loud. Now at the end of the second line, we're going to come back down to a soft. And you have to decide if you're medium loud here and you're soft here, you got to get from there to here. So your softest part should be that last measure. Don't get soft too soon. You may have to experiment a little. Then a quarter rest, move the hands, and now it's loud. Right hand is loud. The left hand is in. See the accents? I don't know that they need accents on a loud thing, but they did that so, It's the right hand that's loud. Again, keep the left hand a little softer. Last line, come down a little bit, just sort of loud. And then you're going to go back down to a soft. Like so. Dynamics add so much to a piece once you get them learned in, but you got to get the notes working and the rhythms and fingering and all that first so you can focus on the dynamics. And it's sort of artificial. When you're doing it, you're thinking, what's soft here, and then get a little louder here and a little softer here. It's all artificial. And by artificial, I mean it's mechanical. There's no feelings in any of this. I'm just trying to work out all this mechanical stuff. And once I get all that worked out, then I can turn it into music. But I got one more thing to do first, and that is we got to add the pedal to this mess, because they're showing a lot of overlapping pedal here. So we need to talk about that. I have some suggestions, I always do. Now let's look at this arrangement. Again, they've messed up the arrangement. In the right hand at the beginning, you have an E going to a C. You want to connect them. And remember the natural accent? 1, 2, 3. So it's 4, 1. That C should get a little more, it should feel a little more than the 1. This to here. Well, connecting these is a problem because the left hand has a 1 chord. It's using the same key. It's using that E. So in order to get for the left hand to use that E, the right hand has to get off of it a little quicker. Well, if I do that, I can't connect them. I don't want that. So what I'm suggesting is we have the pedal help us out. So I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play the E. And then I'm going to change it on after I play the C. Right there. All I'm doing is using the pedal to connect it because I can't with the hands. That's all. So at the beginning on the pedal it's here. Like so. And then we're overlapping, so you play the notes first and then change the pedal each time. And then at the end of that measure where the pedal comes up, lift the pedal with the hand so we get a little silence before we go on because it's a new phrase. I'm not pedaling that, but then the last measure I can pedal the dotted half note. Then lift the pedal with the hands because it's a new phrase and we want some silence. But I need to pedal the E again because it's the same nonsense that was at the beginning. I need to connect it and I need the pedal to help me out. So I'm pedaling the E, the last note in the first line. I'm going to change the pedal in the next beat. So lift the pedal at the end, second line, at the end of the second measure, lift it with the hands so we get a little silence before we go on. And then on the last measure, the last line, I'm going to lift the pedal and the hands on beat 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I get a beat silence, gotta move. Same thing, it's legato pedal all the way through the third line. So, and then I'm going to lift the pedal with the hands at the end of the third line because it's the end of a phrase. And then here, here, and then lift the pedal with the hands before I go on to the last two measures. And at the end, the pedal and the hands come up at the same time at the end of 3 beats. If the beginning of that pedaling okay, it's for you and you're, yeah, I'm getting this, this is great. I want to add one more thing. If you're struggling with this, forget this part. It's a minor thing, we'll get it later. Third line down, last measure. Pedaling, we're legato pedaling this. There. Well, I think it sounds better on that last 2 beats if we don't keep the C, if we let it go. Because if I pedal that, I get them both. You can still hear the C, is what I'm saying. I don't want to hear the C. So what I'm suggesting on the pedal for that measure is you'll pedal the first 2 beats like you normally do. But on the third beat, I don't push the pedal down until I play the A. There. In other words, I don't pedal the C. That way I don't hang on to the C. To me, that's a much cleaner sound, and there's times in the pieces coming up where we're going to need to do that to clean up the sound because it gets too blurry otherwise. So I would encourage you to do that. Third line, last measure, just don't pedal the 8th note. Put the pedal down after you play the dotted quarter note in the right hand is all. Now, after you've done all this mechanical stuff, you got the dynamics and the legatos and the fingering and the pedaling and all that worked out, then you turn it into music. By that I mean you start feeling it, because a lot of this mechanical stuff should be automatic. If you played it through a few times, several times, whatever it takes, you should be able to start feeling this this type thing. Turn it, make it, it's emotional. Music is emotional. So try and see if you can do anything emotional with this at all without violating what the music's telling you to do. Slowed down a little bit at the end. Didn't tell me to, but I did it because that's what I felt. You have to feel it, and this way it really conveys a message to the listener and to you that something emotional is happening. It's just not note, no, 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 and they happen to all sound nice together, but that's not music as far as I'm concerned. It's an emotional experience. Make it one, and until you've learned it well enough to do that, you haven't learned it, as far as I'm concerned. That's just my opinion. Now, if you're in a hurry to get through the book, you don't have time to do that. You're just getting the notes and the rhythms and them going on. And if that's what you're doing, then in my opinion, you're missing out on most of what music is about. So take your time and get emotional with this stuff if you can. Let's try this together slowly. Now this is going to be a mechanical thing. I'm not trying to perform it. We're just checking the notes and the rhythms and maybe the pedaling too. So I'm going to give us 3 counts because we come in on beat 4. Hands here, here, foot's on the pedal. 1, ready, go. 3, rest. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.